Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Gone are the days of wrestling with our favorite LJN wrestling figures, trying to convince them to stand up. What's a guy to do? I'll tell you what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get on Etsy and look up 4 Left 3D Creations and get yourself these amazing custom LJN figure stands. There is a custom stand available for every single one of your LJN wrestling superstar figures. Make your display shine by grabbing these custom LJN stands from 4 Left 3D Creations today.
Hello, everybody. Jason W. New Age Revolution Cave. It is a Monday morning here in the cave on the network, the big show, if you will. We had a lot of who's only if I was a okay. I'm reading YouTube comments as they come in. We had a big weekend on the channel, folks. We talked about Vince McMahon's latest developments, and then we reviewed WrestleMania finally, and that's gotten a lot of early views and a lot of feedback. I'm excited because I get to start. So in current wrestling, they consider WrestleMania the season finale. And then, the Raw after WrestleMania is supposed to be the start of the new season, whatever. But I'm looking forward to starting, watching wrestling post WrestleMania. So we'll have a TNT episode that'll recap WrestleMania, and then we'll go right back into the Saturday shows and the house shows and just, see the next angles that are developing. Obviously, the build up to WrestleMania 2, so that'll be fun. But now, since it's Monday, we have LJN's Revisited. LJN's Revisited, that's right. And Liam's playing Mario 1 and resetting it when he gets angry.
You have comments on like a chat?
No, but like when people leave comments on other videos, they pop up on the phone. All right, it's LJN's Revisited. We're going to take a look at the greatest action figure toy line in the history of the Earth. Yeah, that's right. The LJN figures, the biggest part of our childhood, my childhood anyway, many of yours indeed. And we're up to rather, plain figure. Not much to talk about, but because it's me, there's plenty to talk about. First, before we talk about the figure, we've got to figure out a way for that figure to stand. And this is doesn't stand very well. In fact, a lot of the LJN figures don't stand very well, but they do now, thanks to 4 Left 3D Creations and his brilliance, his expertise, his artistic ability. You can have custom LJN stands. Go on Etsy, hit up 4 Left 3D Creations, and order your stands today. This is Mr. Fuji's stand. So I would assume that you are aware that we're talking about Mr. Fuji. That's right, here he is. Mr. Fuji is our next figure that we're going to take a closer look at. Now, this is when the LJN was going, the LJN line was going heavy managers. We got Bobby Heenan, we got Jimmy Hart, we got Freddie Blassie, we got Elizabeth, we got Slick, but there was one year that we got, Heenan, Albano, who else did we get in that set? Blassie and Fuji, they kind of hit us hard with managers, which is great because at the time, managers were such an important part of the wrestler's character, the wrestler's persona on TV, the image of the wrestler on TV, whether or not the guy would win by cheating. It was all because of the manager. And I remember at the time actually thinking that managers managed the wrestlers for the most part because they would talk about the manager being responsible for booking the hotel and getting the rental car and, of course, stealing money from the wrestlers. So, you always enjoyed that, how, a wrestler would turn good by saying, you've been taking from me, you've been stealing from my money. And then you got to wonder, how, what's the deal with these wrestlers that they can't manage their own finances? And they find out that they've been being robbed by their sinister, evil manager. Just like Mr. Fuji. Mr. Fuji would steal from his wrestlers. He's just that guy. He's just that kind of guy. Let's take a look at the figure. It's a great figure. Mr. Fuji was a wrestler just shortly before becoming a manager. So if this figure wasn't just dressed in a tuxedo, well, of course it's got to be dressed in a tuxedo, but I would use this figure a little bit, very, very little. I would use this figure, not as in an actual match, but in a situation where, like, if Ricky Steamboat beat Don Morocco, he'd get 5 minutes with Mr. Fuji. And when Mr. Fuji, who was a legit wrestler, you know, before being a manager, like Bobby Heenan, but not like, you know, Jimmy Hart, Mr. Fuji could still go a little. So if Mr. Fuji, you know, interferes in the match and chops Ricky Steamboat's going down because Mr. Fuji has still some wrestler power. You see, that's the way the mind works. That's the way the mind works. Jimmy Hart can't get in the ring and punch a guy. They just look at him, right? But when Mr. Fuji hits you, you're gonna feel it a little bit. See, that's why it was fun to use Fuji as a manager, because he could get involved in the matches. You follow my 10-year-old brain, folks?
I don't.
Yeah, I know you don't. Great accessory. Okay, I love this accessory. It's so simple. But you know what it is when you see this? You know what it is? It's a weapon. That's all you see. That's all you see when you see Mr. Fuji's cane. When you see Freddie Blassie's cane, you just see weapon.
I'm gonna kill ya.
And of course, Mr. Fuji had to get involved in all of the matches. Mr. Fuji, if you have been a fan of the channel for a long time, Mr. Fuji was a part of the greatest tag team in LJN history. That's right, folks. The Powers of Pain? No, we didn't have the Powers of Pain. You know, Demolition? No, we didn't have Demolition either. I'm talking about the tag team that came out of the mind of insanity. The Wild Desperados. That's right. I created the greatest tag team in the history of LJN, the Wild Desperados. Terry Funk and Cowboy Bob Orton were an unbeatable force. Unbeatable force. And they were managed by Mr. Fuji. That's right. So Mr. Fuji led the Wild Desperados to tag team gold on uncountable times. Uncountable, whatever. Got stuck there. Mr. Fuji, multi-time manager of multi-time champion, the Wild Desperados. And that was just probably why the LJNs are still so important, because of the imagination that went into it and the things that still stick 40 years later, right? 40 years later, or 37, 38 years later, whatever. I still am fond of the memory of the Wild Desperados, right? I mean, what other... I could bring them back. They never went anywhere. They don't age. I could bring them back. And Mr. Fuji was leading the charge, not stealing money from the Wild Desperados, no. He was leading them to tag team gold. Mr. Fuji, some of these guys, it seems in my memory, some of these guys were hard to find. You know that Elizabeth was hard to find. Jimmy Snuka, I remember being, you know, impossible to find. Never seeing him at stores. Mr. Fuji, I couldn't find. Mr. Fuji was impossible to find. And of course, I had to have him. So this is the... I got Don Morocco from Service Merchandise. That's the only figure that ever came from Service Merchandise. I got Mr. Fuji from Sears. And that's the only figure that I ever got from Sears. In fact, I got it from ordering it from Sears. Now, I don't know how this happened, but my grandmother got it from Sears somehow and gave it to me. And I don't know, so we can go back into the Sears catalog in 1986. We can see if Mr. Fuji's in the Sears catalog. We can get the 87 Sears catalog and see if Mr. Fuji's in it. I think he is. I don't know. I mean, there's some Sears catalog images burned in my brain, and Fuji might be in one of them. But I don't know how she did it. I don't know if she, you know, could you go to the store back then and order it from... No, you couldn't do that. You'd have to get it from the catalog. So somehow my grandmother got Mr. Fuji from the Sears catalog. And I might be misremembering this. But I almost feel that he came unboxed in a brown box with the poster rolled up. I could be completely wrong. My brain could be just incorrect. Maybe not. But I got Mr. Fuji from the Sears catalog. Now I want to find the 86. So it would either be the 86 Wish book or the 87 Wish book, or it would be just a regular Sears. Did regular Sears catalogs have toys in them? I don't know. But anyway, Mr. Fuji came from Sears. Great figure. Unfortunately, the hat doesn't come off. And I don't know why the hat doesn't come off, right? Up to this point in the line, every accessory is removable, right? Piper's kilt, Hillbilly Jim's hat, Junkyard Dog's chain. Who else we got up there? That's about it for accessories up to this point, yeah. And then we get, we got Blassie's cane, that comes off. Yeah. But they give us Mr. Fuji. No, hat's on. So the one accessory, the one figure who's got a molded on hat, makes no sense. It's a hat. Up to this point, all the other hats came off. Doesn't make any sense, but it's fine. It's fine. I think I would have used Fuji more as a wrestler if the hat came off and he just wrestled with the tuxedo. I don't know. We were kids. Imagination. You know how it is.
Imagination station.
Imagination station. All right, let's take a closer look at Master Fuji, as they say. Asshole. Asshole.
What?
Asshole.
Who just said?
Asshole.
I'm saying.
All right, folks, here we are. A closer look at the Mr. Fuji custom LJN stand from 4 Left 3D Creations. That's right. The only way to make your figure stand. Get on Etsy today, 4 Left 3D Creations, and get your custom Mr. Fuji stand. Here he is, Mr. Fuji, in all of his perfect face on Mr. Fuji. Look at that guy. That's him. He's got the dastardly Fu Manchu style beard there. The hat that doesn't come off, the Mr. Fuji bowler hat, does not come off. Bow tie. He's got his penguin suit on. Nice tuck, and he's got some nice girth there. They didn't make him thin. They gave Mr. Fuji a belly, and Fuji was getting a belly throughout his retirement. Open hand. That's a great chop hand. That's a great Mr. Fuji hand right there. And then we've got the closed fist holding the cane. Love that cane. A great figure. Take a look at the back. He's got the long tails that go down, the suit coat. That's a great, great outfit. They did not, they did Fuji well. They did him well with the outfit. Fuji looks good. He's got his markings there on his legs. What do we got? We got 1986, does that say? I hope it says 1986 LJN LTD. There you go. 1986 Titan Sports. And there he is, Mr. Fuji. Take a final look. Very good.
Asshole.
Wait, what?
Asshole.
Wait, are you saying what I think you're saying?
Asshole.
Good night now.
Asshole.